Hey guys, so for today's video I wanted to do a review for Chain of Gold. So I finished this book I think in the middle of June maybe, or at the beginning of June. I honestly can't remember, but I do remember loving it. This has honestly become, I think, one of my favorite books ever, and Cassandra Clare has honestly become one of my favorite authors through these past couple of months, because before I read The Infernal Devices, all that I have read from her was The Mortal Instruments, and that was probably like years ago, probably middle school. But I had heard a lot of people say that they thoroughly enjoyed The Infernal Devices a lot more than they enjoyed The Mortal Instruments. So I, had been wanting to try it out, and I just decided during quarantine would be my best time because I knew Chain of Gold was coming out, and so I had bought Chain of Gold before I even read any of The Infernal Devices, and then I decided just to start reading and jump into The Infernal Devices. So once I decided to read those, I think that became my favorite series. I fell in love with all of the characters, and I cried many times, as you guys saw. And yeah, I mean, those people really feel like family to me, and because I went through 3 books with them and just saw everything they went through, and yeah, they're my babies, all of them. So after I read those, I decided to read all of the short stories from all the like the novellas and the bind-ups, like the Tales of the Shadowhunter Academy and the Bane Chronicles and everything like that. I think there was 5 that I had to read, and I can list them right here if you're also interested. So first I read The Infernal Devices, and then I read these, and then it was finally time for me to get into Chain of Gold, which the last hours I really believe will probably be my favorite series of all time, because, well, depending on how it ends and everything, but so much happened in this book that it's making me very curious as to what's going to happen in the next 2, because I think it's going to be a trilogy. But this literally just felt like a series in its own, because so much happened. But at the same time, I think what I loved most about it was that it let the characters breathe almost. Like, it wasn't like event after event after event after event. Like, it wasn't like super action-packed, but it gave you so much time to like really get to know the characters. Well, at least like the main characters, and really just kind of get to know them and know their feelings and feelings towards each other. But yeah, I literally haven't said it yet, but this book is following, it's the kind of the sequel to The Infernal Devices, and it's about the characters in The Infernal Devices. This follows their children. So like, this is about to be a spoiler. Will and Tessa, they have James and Lucy, and it's just like Gabriel and Cecily. They have Anna and Christopher, and I'm really trying to remember because there are so many families, it gets confusing. And then like Tatiana Blackthorn's children, Grace and Jesse, and also Charlotte and Henry's children, who are Matthew and Charles, and Sophie and Gideon's, who are like Barbara and Thomas. So those are kind of like your main group of characters, the children, and it was a little confusing at first to differentiate the families from each other and like kind of understand each family, because there was like 5 or 6 in this story that it's their kids, so you have to be like, okay, Thomas is their son and like Christopher is their son. And I think the most confusing one for me was Christopher, because he's so similar to Henry. I kept thinking that Christopher was Charlotte and Henry's son, but he's actually Cicely and Gabriel's son. But yeah, I eventually got it settled. But yeah, honestly, my favorite part of this book was the I almost want to say like found family, but it's not really, because a lot of them are actually families, like they're cousins, but it just follows their group of friends. And it also introduces a new character, Cordelia Carstairs, who is Jim's cousin, I think, because I believe their dads are brothers, I think. I might be wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, please let me know if I'm wrong, because it gets really confusing. But I thoroughly enjoyed her character. I really do believe that she's probably my favorite Shadowhunter character. She was probably the main character out of all the Shadowhunter characters that I could relate to the most. You know, she's not super like outspoken or super like extroverted or anything, but she's like very smart, she's very wise, she's very caring, she's kind, and you know, she knows what she wants, and she will do anything for her friends and her family. And I think reading her storyline and like her character development was definitely by far my favorite part of the book, and I cannot wait to see how she progresses throughout the next 2 books. But yeah, like I said, there wasn't like a ton of action in this book. It was kind of like 2 big points that, you know, things that they had to solve and whatever else. But you find out that, and this is, I'm trying to make it not as, at least spoilery as possible, but there are going to be some spoilers. So I'll put a spoiler warning in like the title. But, I mean, you find out that because Will is a Shadowhunter and Tessa is a Warlock, that her 2 kids kind of have like these special powers, and James can go into the shadow world and turn into a shadow, which is like crazy. And then you also find out that Lucy can sort of like control ghosts, and she can see Jesse Blackthorne, who is a ghost, and like nobody else can see him besides his family. So they kind of have that relationship there. And I loved every single character. I really don't think there was a character that I disliked. I loved Anna. I loved how strong she was, and she, you know, she provided that like firecracker sort of, like she was just so awesome, and I loved reading about her as a character. And I just was thoroughly pleased with this book, and I had heard fantastic things about it, and that's why I wanted to read The Infernal Devices so bad. But then I ended up loving The Infernal Devices, and I enjoyed the short stories, but I just really wanted to get to Chain of Gold, and I'm so pleased with this book. This is one of my favorite books of all time. I really believe I did annotate it, but not a lot. I was honestly so sucked into the story that I kind of forgot to annotate, to be honest. But the parts that I did annotate were really big parts. And I think I have a new favorite couple that I really hope get together. I know they get married and they have kids, I believe, but from the family tree that's in the back of Clockwork Princess. But also Cassandra Clare said you can't trust that. So I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to go off of now, but I hope they get together. This is a spoiler, but I really love James and Cordelia Carstairs. And like literally Cordelia loves him and like is in love with him, and they've known each other since they were pretty little, so that love has been like building up. James is with Grace Blackthorne, and so it really plays out in a very interesting way, and I just really hope that they end up together, because I really think they're soulmates. I really think they're perfect for each other, and I love Lucy and Cordelia's relationship. Everything about it was honestly perfect. And so yeah, you do have to read a couple of books before you can get to this one, but honestly they're so worth it. And I really hope you guys love The Infernal Devices. I loved them, and it's so worth it to get to this one. I cannot reiterate enough how much I loved this book. It was everything I expected it to be, and I can't wait for Chain of Iron. I think it comes out next March 2021. I hope. I wish I could have it right now, but I guess I'll have to wait. But yeah, I mean, I don't do super like critical reviews. I kind of just give like what I loved about it, and you know, I'm trying to think of something I didn't like, and nothing's really coming to mind. Maybe just how much these poor characters had to go through. And oh my gosh, I didn't even mention Matthew, but Matthew is literally like my heart and soul. I love him so much. But yeah, if you guys are maybe like wondering whether or not you should pick it up, I really hope that this pushed you towards the direction of picking it up, because this book was stunning. It was amazing. It was such a fun ride with these characters, and I think that's my favorite part of the whole book, is like how much I love the characters. I really can't think of one that I thoroughly dislike. There's a couple, but I think they'll get better. But like, yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. It wasn't super critical. It was kind of just giving my thoughts and what I enjoyed about it. I didn't even mention, but I did end up giving this 5 out of 5 stars. I loved seeing Will and Tessa as parents, and you know, it was weird to see them kind of in the background, and I think I watched an interview with Cassandra Clare saying that it was weird to write them in the background, but I think she did a really good job. They were super involved in the story in a really good way as parents, and it was kind of hard in my mind to like make the adjustment, like they're parents and they're older, well, besides Tessa because she doesn't age. But yeah, and we had a reoccurrence of Magnus Bane, who is obviously amazing. But yes, I really hope you guys decide to pick this up, and I hope I convinced you, and I hope you guys enjoy it if you do decide to read it, and I will see you guys in the next video.